Get it. Swing it. Swing them beats. Swing them beats. One more time. Let me hear it. At least you were flowing with the right beat this time. The last time you did this, I didn't know what you were doing because you were like this, like you was listening to harps. Just to keep it going, because you gotta just have that flow. The what? Is there anything that I can do to help that circle from stop spinning and go? Yes, you're live. No, not yet. Oh, we are. We're live on YouTube.
It's live. Right?
Where? Oh, okay, perfect. Here we are. Right. What? Ta-da! We're only 3 minutes, a little bit on the delayed freight, but it wasn't our fault, just so you guys know. Like Facebook's little thing was going round and round and round. I almost got hypnotized. I almost felt like it was putting me into a trance, but good thing I pushed through it. And here we are. Woo! It's Tuesday. Oh my God. This is taking it to the next level Tuesday. That's what we're doing today. We're taking it to the next level. So I'm hoping that you guys are ready for all of that. Boss was in here beatboxing and doing all kinds of stuff. So my name is Nikki Martinez. My pronouns are she, her, we. We are Victorious Voices. And look at magic.
My name's Arturo Sorianos, Victorious Voices, baby. We come here live on Tuesday to elevate the voice of individuals.
And families and youth and everything we're doing in the community, and how we have amazing community members and human beings that are also doing amazing things. So anything that we can do to highlight them. And also, you know, I think the thing is too, is just bringing awareness to the culture, right, that we've experienced throughout our lives, bringing voices and value into our life experiences and shifting the narrative of what system impacted formerly incarcerated individuals look like. You know, it's important that we do that, you know.
Yes, it is. And how are you feeling today, Nikki?
I didn't get there just yet, but today I am feeling relieved and grateful.
I'm glad to hear that.
Relieved and grateful. Yes.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear that. And, you know, we need to be grateful for what life has given us out here in the free world. And just being able to have reflection of being able to choose the food that we want to eat, being able to just breathe air, right? Being able to drink water in a water bottle instead of out of a sink, right?
Yeah.
So all those things that we need to be grateful for.
And how are you feeling?
I'm feeling content, excited, a lot going on. We're back. We were on a little trip at Ramona.
Just so everybody knows, when he says we're on a little trip, I don't know what he thinks a trip is, but he literally kidnapped me.
Yeah, legally.
Just so legally that happened. And now we've expanded the kidnapping things because, just so you know, nobody even put me on a milk carton, but our executive assistant also was kidnapped, and we were all held hostage in Ramona. Yes, for days.
Yes, in the middle of nowhere.
Yes.
Right? The forest, the country with the horses. And we seen a coyote. I swear to God, I've never seen a coyote in my life. I live in East County. Ramona's part of East County. And Alexis and I, we went on a hike through the grasslands. Beautiful. We got to see some just beautiful nature. And then as we're leaving the hike, we see a coyote just running across the street. Woo! And I'm like, my eyesight is bad, but Alexis catches it. So I see this hairy thing just going into the nature, right? And she says, that's a coyote. And I was like, wow, that's the first time I've seen a coyote.
Anyway, well, needless to say, we came back from an amazing work trip and experience, and we got so much done. We were so extremely productive. It felt so rewarding. It was a good opportunity to just talk about, sit in stillness without any distraction, sit in stillness and talk about our vision, talk about our heart, our soul, and our desire in what it is that we want to bring when we're talking about the Transforming Trauma campaign, and just where we're at and where we've been, and all of the things that contributed to us being in a position to where now we're sitting down and we're really, really reflecting on our own self, our life experiences, the resilience of it all, and how we can empower communities and different types of communities. When I say that, with knowledge.
And that's exciting to be able to have that discussion where there's knowledge, there's understanding of perspective, of movement, and linking all that into different models that could be useful, not to like just bring something to a neighborhood like this is what we're bringing, but something that has worked from boots on the ground and community engagement, right? Connecting with the people, youth, individuals, and families, and building relationships with them. And that's what today's topic is going to be about, the power of community engagement. But before we get into our topic, ta-da!
What's going to happen?
Nikki is going to flow.
I'm going to flow with a quote real quick because I got to drop some of that on you guys real quick. Okay, so the quote this is the first quote. The second quote blew my whole wig back, and I only have like 5 strands of hair, people. So, I mean, it was gone, right? I was looking like Arthur this morning while I was in the office trying to figure out what this last quote was going to be as we close out. So definitely stay tuned for the final quote, because that's something that's just going to drop your jaw. I feel like, anyway, it dropped mine. So the very first quote, I thought about it because I knew we were going to talk about like leadership and community engagement and what that looked like. And then I had reflected on everything that we were talking about this weekend at Ramona, right? And I think of all of the different times where we had been knocked down, like we've been knocked down, like to our knees, like to the point to where face first, you want to talk about being locked down for 24 hours a day on your knees. Like that's some knocking down right there, you know? And I thought about that. And, in some different perspectives, it would be considered, there's so much failure in that, you're locked in a box. And, I always clown around when people like say, okay, well, it's time for you to go. And I'm like, well, I've been kicked out of better places like society, and it's like, I was just kind of really reflecting on that when I was working out this morning. So I felt like this quote is what kind of really spoke to me. And it says, failure is so important We speak about success all of the time, but it is the ability to resist or use failure that often leads to greater success. And I think of all of the different times where we were considered maybe being in that box and subsequently calling that box, failure, or being inside of prison and being in that mindset of the different things that we've done, and considering how society, can conceptualize as considered failure. But I think what it's done is just built so much resiliency in our very existence that it's created so much success. And I don't mean, and I tell people all the time, success can mean so many different things to so many different people. And it doesn't necessarily equate, a bank account or where you're at in business or a title or any of that. Success is internal. It could be your own self of reflection, your own self-awareness. And I feel like being in your presence all of the time, and just know, because you're like my road dog, you're like my bestie for real. And I think about that, and it's like, golly, there's so many different elements in our very beings that has contributed to the failures that we've endured, that has led to the success in our being. Yeah,
that's powerful. And Nikki, don't share the quotes before. I don't want to read the quotes before the victorious voices, because I want it to be like genuine.
Yeah.
And as she's speaking, like that, like hardcore resilience just like kicks in, because we did experience inhumane isolation, torture. We were considered the failure, but in them situations and circumstances, us as individuals, we took that opportunity to strengthen ourselves, reading, educating, projects, as far as like, I remember an individual creating a Mayflower out of sheets, getting the string off the sheets, the beds, and creating out of paper, right?
Yeah.
That's a beautiful thing. And out of soap.
Yeah.
Man.
They make some stuff out of some PIA soap, I'm telling you.
So that's how we come with that passion, right? And it's purposely set in place. As executives, we want to represent that we are the executives, lived experience. And we're not saying that to be cocky. We're saying that to be confident, to uplift our lived experience population, right? So they could be motivated and do whatever it is that they want to do. So thank you. Thank you for that quote. And yes, we did have a great time. We had a lot of discussion. And one of the topics that we had, because we're putting a training together, curriculum, and we talked about community engagement.
Yeah.
Right. What does that look like, and what does that feel like? What's the power in it for the people, for youth, individuals, and families? So, I wanted to get into something I didn't know what it is going to be. I came out with the chip on my shoulder, right? Chip on my shoulder. And so I was selfish. For myself. Yeah. And the reason I say that is because when we start doing the work in the community, right, at Toronto Park, this is working for me. This is community therapy for me.
Yep.
Me giving back, like, it's making me feel amazing, content, valuable, for the community that I once did harm. Now being able to come in there and build relationships with youth, individuals, and families. I had no idea where the growth of youth empowerment was gonna go. All I know is that if we connected with the community at first and build relationships, then we could see where the need was at, right? And so us working with the youth at first, showing up to the courts, juvenile courts, building relationships with the judges, probation officers, just naturally advocating, no business cards, just being present, right? Allowed us to build the relationships with the youth. And guess what? The youth has a father or a guardian or an aunt or an uncle. And so we begin to build relationships with the community. How powerful is that? Right? Before any contracts, any services that we brought, like we do now, we built the relationships for 2-3 years. Do you see the power in that?
Yeah, but I see, what I see, what stands out to me more than anything, right, is, like you said, you're fresh out. You were literally fresh out of prison. For how many years?
months. I was out 6 months, six and a half months.
But how many years had you done?
Total, like 23 years.
So 23 years, you're fresh out, 6 months.
6 months.
And you have a desire and a passion. And you don't know what that vision's going to look like. And that kind of leads into the later on of topic that I wanted to bring up. But it's like, it was because of that passion that created a whole movement that did a ripple effect that created change. And it was just because you came in and you planted the seed and you had the desire so strong that you wanted everybody else to experience in that, right? I went through a class one time inside, and one of the things that they had said about passion, and I never thought about it like in that context, is passion. When somebody is so passionate about something, how strong like the energy begins to happen outside of you, right? Your drive, your mentality, your mindset, everything about you changes when you have that passion. And then they broke it down. So passion is, you spell it PASSION, right? You pass on. And so that's what we end up contributing to what it is that we're so passionate about. You literally passed yourself onto the community.
And
that's crazy.
And I'll be honest, like when I first had this aha moment and you know what, I'm going to get involved. Honestly, I did it for my homeboys. That's where I was at. Mm-hmm. Like I needed to find something that I love my neighborhood. I love the area that I grew up in. I have built relationships since I was a kid. Some went this way, some went that way. Some are resting in peace, right? Like, okay, like all this destruction, how can I be connected and not go back to jail? Mm-hmm. That's how it all started.
Yeah.
And then understanding myself, my self-help, individuals, working on myself, my criminal addictive thinking, right? Working on myself, mm-hmm. my personal development, then boom. Let me connect with my people in a healthy way. Mm-hmm. It took 2 years for the community just to believe that I was doing this for the right reasons.
Right.
So when we first started, nobody believed me. Not the systems, not the community.
Yeah.
Like, right.
It was the same thing for me inside. It was like when I created the organization, they were like, oh no, like they're just trying to figure it out so they can figure out how to traffic. Like they had every kind of reason why not to believe in what it is that we were doing at that time.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
But we believed in ourselves.
Yep.
And we knew where we were going.
Yeah.
Well, at least some thought of where we were going, right?
we had an idea, a vision.
and so in building these relationships with our youth individuals and families, I remember the first contract that we received through the Department of, not the Department of Restorative Justice, Latino Coalition, mm-hmm. excuse me. Mm-hmm. And so big kudos to Mr. Richard Ramos, yes. Joey Estrada,
yes.
Crystal. They came with the grant, with the $500,000 grant. And, we were up and running, but fairly new. So we ended up using Mi Casa Su Casa as a fiscal agent, Project Aware. And we had all these built-in relationships, right? And it was a contract that it was for the 18 to 24 population. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So when we were out in the parks doing community engagement, building relationships, the kids that we were working with were 16, 15, right? 17, right? And so when this opportunity, because there was still some struggles on their end, right? So when this opportunity came up, 60% of our referrals were them kids.
Yeah.
So we just didn't bring services like, here we are. We have a reentry program, 18 to 24. Let's pass out these flyers. This is what we do. Let's do referral systems, how we can get the participants. No, we already had that in place.
Yeah.
We didn't need that referral system from anybody because we had the referrals of, guess what? The community.
Yeah.
There's power in that.
And how did that make you feel?
Oh, it made me feel from passing it on, passion, right?
Oh, you got a new one, huh? You coming up with that lingo.
to elated.
Yes.
Excited.
Yes.
I could go into a room with systems and organizations and come out feeling confident, mm-hmm. not cocky, but confident, with my chest up, my back up, with the smile, with a nice little, suit and be like, you know what, we could do this too.
Yep, I belong here.
I belong here.
Yep.
I'm part of this.
Yep.
And this is the way we do our services. It's a little bit different than how many other organizations bring their services, but our organization leads by lived experience from executive on down.
Yeah.
So that passion, that desire led to other opportunities. Let's talk about the Board of State Community Corrections. Let's talk about when COVID-19 shutting down program. We gotta we can't do this. We can't meet in person. It has to be virtually. How'd that happen, Nikki? All the relationships that were built throughout the years, how were we able to get referrals?
We got a lot of referrals. It's crazy because being on those calls where it's like you're listening to the other programs and they're talking about the deficit of human beings that they're not able to service because of this COVID. And the crazy thing is with COVID, it exacerbated the needs because people were being released way more because they wanted to, help. So supposedly, don't get me started on all of that, but they supposedly wanted to help diminish the population so that they could create space, which they never really did. But, whatever. So people were released a lot more during the COVID times. And it was crazy to me when we were sitting in the meetings and they're like, well, due to COVID, our numbers have gone down and we haven't been able to service, the people that need it. And in my mind, I'm thinking, how is that even possible? Like our people need that more service more than anything in the dire need. Like they're being released without any kind of direction. They're getting released early, not having a plan in place. And it was because of all of the community engagement, because of all of the people that you had already proven and shown and the families that you had already connected with, where we were constantly getting community. We had our numbers so high where we would go into these meetings and they're like, how are you guys servicing that many people? How are you guys even getting referrals? It's because we already had boots on the ground. We have our finger on the pulse of what it is that the community needs. And regardless if contract covers it or not, we're going to do anything in our power to make sure that people are receiving services that they need. Why? Because no matter what it comes with a contract or if it doesn't come with their contract, our service duty as we sit here and understanding the experiences and the trauma and the life challenges that we continuously face as people that are system impacted, formerly incarcerated, trying to transition, what would we look like? You know what I mean? Like there's no way. We had 4 different individuals in here last week. And unfortunately for 2 of them, we're not under the grant, but guess what? They got some services. They got some of their needs met. We made sure that they have our direct line phone number, our personal phone number. They know that we're here from the sun up to the sun down, knowing that they have a place to come and get some clothes, get some food, make a sandwich. What do you want me to call somebody? Do you need help? Do you need support? What do you need from us? Because and so going back to leadership, how important it is because, you are what your head is. And the crazy thing is here, it's not even about what this man's head is. It's like he brought his whole heart and passion into this, not just this organization, but into this community that has allowed all of us to feel the heartbeat of that. Like,
and
man.
And we appreciate the valued partnerships, like in particular with Community Transition Center, the leadership there that has helped us, support us, and going into CTC to bring recruitment participants. But when COVID first began, none of that was happening, right? So what do we do, right? Community is everything from our perspective, right? So what do we do? When I talk to community, I'm talking about the justice involved community. So how do we step up? How do we bring in referrals? Guess what? Like Nikki just explained, we were already connected, right, with the youth, individuals, and families. So we were able to stay with our numbers, and with the numbers, we're at flow and we're ahead of our numbers. Why? Because it's an organization that's led by individuals with lived experience. The root of power in community engagement. There's an article, there's a link on the chat, and this just shows you how we first did it. right? Just being out there with the people. The news came out, and we're just serving the people, giving them food to eat, events, taking them places that they had never been before.
Mm-hmm.
How does that feel for you when you go to a place that in your life you have never been to before?
You know what's crazy is because there are so many different life experiences where people look at me like I am literally insane because I haven't done a lot. I was arrested at 17 and I was in prison my whole life. I was in prison longer than I had been out in society. And I was in prison at such a young age and so unexperienced and so sheltered that my life the majority of my life was in prison, so it's like I have those experiences all of the time, like oh my god, like literally all of the time. They're brand new, they're life changing for me. And it's like I function from a different place because I function from a place of gratitude. But that's the same thing with our youth that are in this community that have never experienced the beach, have never experienced roller skating, have never experienced bowling. Like it's just like them. It's like a brand new seeing things through the eyes of a brand new just child, and it's just shining. It's like it's glittering. It's like, oh, it's magical,
Yeah.
So
and I love getting joy from the people I work with. When they're happy and joyful, that rubs off on me, right?
mm-hmm.
And so we're going on a trip to San Jose to connect with a mentor of ours, an ambassador, somebody that does great work out of Oakland. We're gonna fly to San Jose, right? And then from San Jose, we're gonna go to Oakland, and then we're gonna go to Barrios Unidos in Santa Cruz. We're gonna celebrate Nikki. She's one of the individuals that we're celebrating for freedom, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the freedom that she's been out here, and so we're definitely looking forward to that.
Mm-hmm.
But that's we're building relationships with other communities, right? Community engagement, all the way from San Diego up north. And we're talking about, these are individuals that are from up north, and if down south, and if you get where I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about, right?
If you have that lived experience and you've been going through life through the pinta, then you understand what he's dropping down.
Yeah, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, that's cool too. Good for you. We'll get to that topic later on in life, but they're creating land over here, over there.
Yeah.
Two organizations that we're connected with that we're gonna go see, they own their own land.
Yep.
Right? One of them owns a whole block. Right?
That's right.
One of them owns a building in Oakland that he's putting together.
Mm-hmm.
And guess what? They want to share that blueprint with us.
Right.
They want to help uplift us, and that's goals that we have as an organization, and that's what keeps our fire going as well.
And that's just, and that speaks volumes as to the quality of the character that these individuals are in doing that. Because, I realized, like, when I first came home and I was trying to figure out what my lane was going to be, and I was relying on community engagement. I was relying on leadership because this was a completely foreign world and land to me. It was I had no idea what I was doing out here. And I realized that there were so many people that were just like, we'll give you this much, but this is what else you're going to get though, too, And so to be amongst individuals that are willing to share the blueprint, that are willing to share their space, that are extending such grace and such just passion for what it is that they do, and want to bring somebody else along with them and show them like that. That's what leadership is about. That's what and you think about, there's so much power in unity. You know what I mean? Like, if we were all to just step outside right now and start holding the hands of the people that are involved in this movement, and how long that would stretch, right? And if we could just bring others in and get them a part of the movement and allow them to believe in themselves so much to help them understand that they too are leaders, and how good it feels to be able to give and to share. Imagine us holding hands all the way from here to San Jose, and how powerful that is. There's power in numbers,
There's powers in numbers, and there's power in movement. In the Credible Messenger movement, from here to San Jose, Santa Cruz, to Washington, D.C., to Atlanta, to Washington, upstate, to Mississippi, to Florida. These are just relationships that have been built through community engagement, right?
Mm-hmm.
And building these strong relationships with movement put together. A movement's not a movement if it's not moving forward.
Right.
And we're moving forward, baby. There's
Mhm.
there's a lot of great things
Mhm.
happening, and the work that's being done, there's value in it.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't gotta hoot, our own horn. They see that
Mm-hmm.
because the work that's being done in the community. So I'm looking forward to connecting. I'm looking forward to taking a flight, right?
Mm-hmm.
To San Jose, and our project director there that's going to be leading us is Stevie Hill,
Yes.
one of our board members.
Yes. Stevie's bringing it.
Yeah, and so and it's crazy how like we all connected at that Credible Messenger conference in Washington D.C. It was amazing, Nikki, and that was a beautiful moment for community engagement. They had like all walks of life. And they had the jazz, they had the band, and they even had, you had the East Coast on one side, you had the West Coast, the Midwest, right? And each ones were in their own little sections, and everyone had to like come out with a rhythm and like a beat, whatever that was. But then we had to link it all together, right?
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So this section had their rhythm, this section had their music. And then after we got like our own individual like rhythm, then one went first, the other one second, third, fourth. So you could hear the flow of the music, right?
Yes.
And you could feel the collaboration that's happening throughout the United States.
Wow, that is dope.
Yeah, so that's something that we maybe need to incorporate
yes.
for our event. But
yes,
power in community engagement, the reason why we're so successful, the reason why it's the best way to bring in relationships, services to the community. So a little tad bit of advice: if you are a nonprofit corporation, build the relationships with the community. Go out, go boots on the ground. See what the needs is. Not just because statistics and like start a communication. How can we bring services to youth, individuals, and families?
Yep. And just, connecting with people from the heart, it's like, I think like when you start believing in something bigger than yourself and you become passionate about it, it automatically creates its own pulse, so it's about what it is that we're willing to do. And I think the other thing is too, is like, we all have the ability to create meaning that will either empower us or it'll set us on a path to change, right? Depending on what we think about it, because there's so much power in our thoughts, and thoughts create actions, and they create behaviors, and they have the ability to create change, and it's like, what do you want to see different? I was listening to something earlier today, and it's like, we can all sit around and we can complain about, oh, they didn't do this right. They didn't do this right. They're not showing up like this, blah, 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 blah. Well, then why can't we have that strong? Why can't we just be as passionate enough to be like, you know what? They didn't do this. I know that I can. So why wouldn't I show up and make that change? And why wouldn't I show up and make that happen? It's about finding solutions. It's about creating the environment and the elements it is that we choose to see and how we choose to see it. And I like the quote that Henry Ford has. He was like, if you think you can, or if you think you can't, you're right. And it's like, as a leader, it's like, you go in there and you start thinking like, I can do this. I can do this. I can do this. I want to make this change. And then you throw a little passion behind it. And then next thing you know, it becomes bigger than yourself. And that's what the whole thing with community engagement looks like. It's like all of those different elements and the pieces, they end up coming together, and it's for the benefit of everyone, So I'm super excited too about, us going to San Jose. It's, shout out to Lynn Noyce, shout out to Nane. I appreciate you so much for creating an opportunity for us as women to go and have our voices heard. Surviving after life is huge. Ellie's going to be there. It's going to be me, Ellie, Lynn, and I believe there's somebody else that's going to be there. I'm not really personable with her. I don't know her like that. So I'm looking forward to just sharing our experiences and our stories and elevating each other and having that community engagement, all the way up and down the coast. So I'm excited. I'm so glad that you guys are going to support to support me and to hear me. And I'm glad that I'm going so that we're able to build more stronger relationships and get a little bit more insight into how the movement is going up there. So we're excited, so.
Yeah, and we haven't been able to do that in quite a while. Like Nikki hasn't had the opportunity to go to all these conferences and build relationships and fly over here, and community engagement and different conferences is tailored to their community engagement and how they work and operate. So definitely excited for her, for us, and just keep this in mind. If you want to bring services to a community, if you're a nonprofit corporation, do your due diligence, but do it in a way where your boots on the ground and you're connecting with the people. Because if you're building relationships with the people, you're going to have that much success. That's the blueprint, y'all.
Yep. Show up.
Show up.
Show up. And I think that's the thing. It's like we want to be, we have opportunities. That's all I can say is there's opportunities on a daily basis, to show up in the smallest of forms. So, with that, I want to say thank you all so much for joining us today. We have a new donation system. It's called Donor Perfect. The link will be in the chat for you all. Share it. Like I said, it takes nothing to share it. It's zero. It takes nothing for you guys to just share what we have to say. Become our follower on Facebook, watch us on YouTube, share our stuff from YouTube. We would really, really appreciate that. We're here every single Tuesday at 10 a.m. As you guys can see, we're getting our system down. It's becoming now. It's going to be structured. It's going to be on point. We'll be here live and in person every single Tuesday at 10 o'clock. So we ask that you guys join us. Next week, we're going to have a really good conversation about the power of the tongue. So I really hope to see you guys there. It's going to be something that's going to be, it's going to not just be about the tongue, but it's definitely going to be piercing the heart and the soul. So I'm excited about having that conversation. So I wanted to go ahead and drop out with the quote. And for you all that are still watching, good morning, Chanel. For you all that are still watching, I kind of just really want you to think about this. And as I found it, I was thinking, like I was saying in the beginning, I thought about our experiences and I thought about everything that we've gone through, and people don't know the half of it, and it's like, if you haven't experienced that, you have no idea what it is. And everybody's experience is different. And not to say that, our trauma is any more worse than anybody else's trauma, because we all experience trauma in life. Right. Mm-hmm. And we've all endured. And you think about where you're standing right now, and it's like, we've all been overcome. We are all overcomers because we are here today, right? And we've been at our worst of worst, and we've had those life experiences, and then here we are. So the closeout quote that I have for everybody is, don't downgrade your dreams to match your reality. Upgrade your belief to match your vision. And when I read that this morning, I was like, dang, there's so many times where, emotions are crazy. Sometimes you feel defeated. Sometimes you feel like a failure. Sometimes you feel like you're not going to make it. Sometimes you're so sad, or you're depressed, or you're working through stuff to where it's like you end up downgrading your dreams. Like, I don't know if I can. Am I going to be able to, and then you start putting that on yourself. You start creating that own self-doubt. But you know what? When we start matching our beliefs with what it is that we envision for ourselves, that's so, so empowering. And there's power in that, So I just encourage you all to just believe that you are the best version of yourself. And when you believe that you're the best version of yourself and allow that to be your vision, you will become the best version of yourself. And so with that being said, thank you all so much for joining us. You guys have an amazing Tuesday. I want you guys to know that you guys are amazing and valuable human beings, and treat yourself as such, but also treat every interaction that you have with other human beings as such. Thank you so much, you guys. See you guys next Tuesday.
Thank you, Victorious Voices.